Good evening, everybody. How are you all? No? Full of energy? No? Hard day in the office? Yeah? So, my name's Matthew Caine, and I think from that name and my accent, you can tell I'm not Swiss. I'm originally English, and I've actually been working in the Agile world for about 3 years. Prior to that, I spent about 20 years losing my hair working in waterfall. It's not much fun. But the epiphany really happened about 2 years ago when I worked for a software house, and we just couldn't deliver a thing. Well, if we did deliver it, it was full of defects and it was late and it was not what the client wanted. All the usual stories, nothing new. It was awful. The piece of software had been started 8 years beforehand. There were 14 major financial institutions around the world using it. Every single one of them was very unhappy with us. How do you get new sales if they're all unhappy? It ain't going to happen. Yeah? So we decided to change the way we worked. We had to come away from waterfall, we had to go agile. And that was great. People thought, oh yeah, we can do this. We can go agile, and we have our little teams that are agile. And yes, we made some progress, and yes, things improved. But actually, it was 12 months later when we actually sat back and looked at what we'd achieved as a company. We had some amazing results, and I'm going to show those results right at the end of the presentation. But it wasn't just the fact that we went agile. It was the fact that we also had teams such as marketing and sales, the IT infrastructure, we had the clients, we had senior management. They also had to be aligned to the rhythm, the heartbeat of the IT teams who were delivering the software. Without it, we didn't have alignment. Without it, it was like a car revving its engine and not going anywhere. So we had some improvement with Agile, but actually when we had the whole company all aligned, that's when we got real results. It only took 12 months, and I'll show you the results at the end. So, maximizing Agile. What we're going to be looking at is the clients first, then senior management, human resources, sales and marketing, partners, if you've got consultants working with you, support, the IT services, and then I'm going to show you the results. Now, maximizing agility throughout your organization. Agile, the holy grail of software? Many people think so. Yeah? It does go a long way to help you deliver on time, in scope, quality. It certainly goes a long way. But also, there are failure cases of agile adoptions. I've got Jeff here. Yeah, I'm being a bit out there at the moment. But yes, there are some failure cases. It doesn't always work. And yeah, everything seems so good though. But why didn't it work? And one of the things that we believed was getting that alignment, get that alignment going. I've already talked about the high-performance car. Yeah? If you've got a journey to go from A to B, you have to have everything working. The car has to be in the right gear. You have to have the driver steering the car properly. You have to have all 4 wheels attached to the ground to actually move. You have to move the gear, you have to steer the rest. Everything has to be aligned. And if you've got that alignment, you can get from A to B very, very efficiently and quickly. And Agile techniques, it's exactly the same. You have to get your ducks in a row. You have to be aligned. If you've got that little team, very agile, that's great. But if nobody else is working with them, that little engine is going to be steaming away and nothing's going to happen. So let's have a look at the clients. What does that mean? So some of you will be focused, or I've got 4 UBS people at the front here. Yeah? Their clients are all internal. Our clients were external. It doesn't really matter. You still have to have alignment with the clients. The clients, if whatever you have as a time box, 2 or 3 weeks, we had 3-week time boxes. The clients have to work with you. They have to be aware of that. That expectation has to be there. If you've got external clients who are used to working in waterfall, it's going to come as a big shock that all of a sudden you're asking them to be involved with you more frequently, at least once every 2 or 3 weeks. But because you can plan your time boxes and your sprints in advance, you know your dates, you know when you're going to be giving a demo. We, for example, had a webinar every 3 weeks. All our clients dialed in. We could demonstrate the software. Eventually they were saying, hang on a minute, can I take control? Yeah? So also the clients who beforehand didn't want anything to do with the software until it was delivered, and then they were very reluctant to take it, all of a sudden they were going, hang on, we want to see this software. It's great. It's doing what I want to see. I can see where I can have some improvements. Yeah? And we were a software house with releases 3 or 4 times a year, so we could say, this is when the beta release is going to be available, and this is when the final release is going to be available. And they were fixed. We can communicate that to all the clients. And we never shipped, we never delayed one release in 1 year. We did 4 releases, and not one of them was delayed. And obviously the benefits for the delivery team itself, they get assurance that what they're doing is correct because they're working closely together with the client. They learn quicker. And the client, like I mentioned, wants to get his hands on the software earlier. If you're a product house working with waterfall, you deliver your software, the client's never seen the software, he's got it, what do I do with this now? And he'll delay and delay and delay. But if you've got him engaged, he's going to actually see the software, want it, and when you do that final release, he's going to say, great, come, let's get this into production now. Okay? That's completely different to what I've experienced in the past. So I see a few people nodding their heads. Yeah? Seems a familiar story, right? Let's talk about the senior management. Yeah? Those 3 guys are very scary guys. Very bad choice of tie. Yeah? Yeah? Yes, they are important. Why are they important? Well, they've got to know that they need to reduce their command and control. So those of you that are Scrum Masters, you know that they need to reduce that command and control. Let the teams work. However, in our case, we had software that had been started to be produced 8 years ago. The management were the original developers. So when the team said, oh, this will take us X amount of days, the management guy said, that can't be right, that's complete rubbish. In my day, it would have taken me 20 days. Huh? But the software base has grown in all dimensions. It's ultimately a lot more complex.
And there wouldn't be any landmines in that base.
Absolutely, yeah. So they have to stop dictating the estimates or how they would have done it 4 years ago. Yeah? They have to help remove their impediments. We all know about Scrum, and you have to remove your impediments. A software house working away, doing sales, and sales will come in and say, I've got a real probability of winning a £1 million deal if I can show some functionality. If we can prove this piece of functionality, can we get that out of the door in 1 week? Management, and we're going to look at that in a minute, but management need to control sales to stop them from doing that, because if they do that, they come in from the side, it's going to disrupt the planning of the team, that's working in an agile way. You need to leave that team focused, delivering new functionality. Don't let them be hit from the side, torpedoed, if you like. And what I've also seen is the management team who don't quite get it, they will come in and go, hang on a minute, I've got something interesting, I'm going to take these 3 developers from this team and I'm going to put them on something else. That poor team sat there going, hang on a minute, we're all committed to doing something. If you have that sort of behavior repeating, nobody's going to believe you. Yeah? Nobody's going to believe in their plans because they know it's going to get destroyed. You have to have consistency. The management also needs to know its role. There's just a few examples. Human resources. Change affects people. So these guys, HR, need to react as quickly as possible, because there's a whole list of things that people care about. They care about, I'm going to start with that first one actually. 15% of the workforce can't go agile. They actually like to be told what to do by when. Yeah? If you keep those guys in your agile team is slowly going to get frustrated. HR need to get involved. Then you've got recruitment. What does your recruitment job specification look like now? Interviews. Do you really want to recruit that guy who sits there and says, I'm a fantastic Java developer, I'll sit in a corner for 6 weeks and come up with the best solution you'll ever have? I've certainly seen people claim to be able to do that, but it ain't going to work in an agile team. You've got evaluation schemes. You've got things like reviews. When do you do reviews? What are you looking for in your review? Bonus. What are the bonus schemes? An example I heard just a week ago at the Lean and Agile Scrum conference was a team in Germany, fanatic football fans, were asked what bonus they would like to have if they achieved their goal. And they said, we would like flights to flights to South Africa to watch the German national football team. I just hope that they weren't going to watch the England match. It's a very painful day. So there is an example. Ask the teams what sort of bonus they would like. Money is nice, but it doesn't actually motivate people. Career paths, job enrichment. I'm going to come to job enrichment when we talk about support. But then you've got to think about your career paths. If you had senior Java developer, junior Java developer, what are they now once we've gone agile? And these are the sort of things that are always going to be at the back of people's minds. It's a people question. Software is a people business. Okay, there's some software in there, but it's all about people. All of that needs to be looked at. Then you've got sales and marketing. Yeah? I just love this guy. Yeah? Would you trust him, Klaus? Yeah. Yeah. How many of you have heard engineers say, sales have all they've sold? Yeah, I've got a few nods. Yeah. And we also have sales saying development have not delivered. Who's heard that? Yeah? So it's reality. This is not made up. To help with the sales guys, you need to get them involved in your in your time boxes or your sprints, so that they start to appreciate that you're making commitments. So the teams can see, so the sales guys can see that the teams are really trying to reach those commitments that they've made. Then they'll start to appreciate that when they come in from the side with that torpedo, that it's going to upset the team. Get those sales guys involved in the time boxes. Get them at least seeing the demonstrations so they appreciate the work that you're doing. They may be sat up there on the 5th floor, what they call the carpet floor, but get them down, get them appreciating what you're doing. Now this one's the tough one. We were talking downstairs in the bar before about having a good product owner. And it's a product owner that needs to know what's coming to come out, not just in the next 2 or 3 weeks, but in 6 months, 12 months, even have an idea what the market needs in 18 months. It's more than just your backlog. And they also need to be engaged. Partners. Who's an external consultant? 1, 2, 3, a few external consultants. The company I worked for was a software house. We had great external consultants. We were very lucky that they were familiar with agile concepts, with time boxes, with sprints, etc. If they were not, you've got the issue of who's going to pay for them? Are they willing to actually adopt your new methodologies? But if they are familiar and you are now agile, you can now plan your time boxes. You've got your plan of time boxes. You know the schedule that when you need those key resources, you can turn around to your supplier and say, I need them in these weeks because that's when we're doing planning and that's when we're doing demonstrations. So you can plan in advance and your supplier will love that because he knows what his utilization rates of his people are. He knows what money he's going to get, and you know how much you're going to spend. If you, as a consumer of those resources, can't tell that supplier that information, that supplier is actually going to be thinking about putting his resources on other projects. You need those good resources, and you need them working for you and not for your competitor. Support. I love the picture of the dog. I don't know if can you guys read it? Sorry, I can't help you, sir. I'm a dog. It says. They needed cheap labour, and I work for sausages. Don't we all? But it about sums it up. When you think about the people who work in support, how much respect do they get in the average IT company? It's a hard question. Not very much. They are often overlooked, often disregarded, poorly trained, highly exposed, and they have a very high turnover. But think about it for a minute. They know the end user's problems. They really understand the pain that the end user has from a usability point of view, from a system performance point of view, from a defects point of view. We've got a usability expert here from eBay, right? Yeah. So the end user knows, so the end user has problems, it's the support that's the first point of call. They know what the issues are. So, I talk about here letting the dog bite the tail. What does that mean? It means that if I've got an agile team that's producing ropey software, let that agile team manage the support and the maintenance. There's a very large software house in Switzerland with nearly 700 employees. They have one group of people producing new functionality and one group of people maintaining and supporting it, doing defect fixing. Do you think that's good teamwork? Yeah? I think one set of people think they're prima donnas. We're great because we're doing all the sexy new stuff. And one group of people not liking them because they're having to fix defects at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, but the first group was keeping the second group employed.
That's true. yeah. So our solution was to actually move these people doing support and make them part of the team. Make them part of the agile team. When there's, well, I'll give you another example. A widget on a user interface, pull down menu. Pull it down in the test environment, extracts 5 rows from a database table. A major financial institution does exactly the same thing and loads it with 600,000 rows. Only the supporter knew that problem, but because we brought them back together into the team, the supporter says, hang on a minute, we've seen this problem before, we need to make sure that we don't make that same mistake again. And all of a sudden, those prima donnas, quite frankly, there's a lot of prima donnas, they no longer have that power because they're being challenged by the support guys. And they go, yeah, actually, he's right. I do need to do that better. So you start to dilute the influence of the prima donnas in your organization. And I talked a little bit about job enrichment. Because your team is now full of business analysts, testers, developers and support guys, they start to learn from each other. They know the business, they know the product, they know the clients. After a year, 18 months, these people are perfect to go and work in pre-sales. They're perfect to go and be consultants themselves. Revenue generating. They move on, you get somebody else from the market who can backfill them. Try employing a consultant off the market who knows your product, your business and your clients. They don't exist. So as a final team, you've got the IT services guys. Now these can kill you. They can hold you to ransom. They have great power. They can slow you down a lot. You, as developers, will want to have faster hard disks. You will want to have you will need to upgrade your development environment. If you're using Jira, you will want to have Greenhopper in place. Maybe you want to upgrade Greenhopper or Jira. You will want faster servers because all of a sudden you're doing continuous integration, continuous testing. That produces an awful lot of data. And if you're really doing your job properly, you'll have system performance servers as well to do testing. And that's just a few. You're a group of software developers, business analysts. Who is going to give you that hardware? Who is going to do the upgrades for you? It's the IT services guys. If they're not there, if they're not going to do it for you, you're just going to get frustrated and you're going to just slow down and that wheel on that car has just come off. Yeah? Going back to letting the teams focus, the development teams need to focus. So if the guys are coming to you and say, okay, we will upgrade Jira for you on Wednesday at midday, good idea or bad idea? It's a bad idea. It's got risk, it stops you from working. So as what we did was, as we were building our release, we started to collect a series of items in a backlog for the IT guys to consider. And on the first time box 0, we said to the IT guys, this is what we want you to do. This is our highest priority. They gave us faster disks. They upgraded Jira. They gave us servers, all within that first time box. So that when the developers actually started to work on the new release, they had this uplift of energy. Hey, all of a sudden my compilations are much faster. I've been waiting for this for 7 or 8 weeks. Great. So you automatically get an uplift in motivation for the next release. So you have to get the IT guys planning with you in your rhythm. So I've run through that quite quickly. Yeah? I had about 20 minutes to do it in. Yeah? So what we've looked at is clients. Clients need to be on board. Clients need to know that they have to give you input regularly. There's a lot of advantages when they do that. Senior management need to make sure that they play their part. Human resources, they've got an awful lot to think about. It's a people business. Sales and marketing, we love to hate them. Yeah? But at the end of the day, they're the guys that make the money. They bring the cash in. Partners. If you're working with external partners, make sure you nail them into your projects, and you can do that with agility. Support, get them inside the teams. IT services, make sure they do the upgrades when you want them and when you need them and when it makes most sense for you. So the conclusion is, the greater the alignment that you have around all these people, the greater the impact of the agile world, and the greater the results. And we, within 12 months, had these results. We had 40% better teamwork. We had some of the biggest egos coming in and saying, my team's on track, I've finished what I need to do, what other team can I help? That is a remarkable. This was from a guy from the ETH, double doctorate, that had a brain the size of a horse, but had a slight problem with ego and prima donna. Nobody wanted to work with him beforehand, but afterwards, an amazing turnaround. Quality. The global head of a financial organization said to us, and it also ties in with the 76% less UAT issues, I'm not happy with the quality of your software that you're delivering now. I am ecstatic. Yeah? His UAT testing campaign was 2 man-years. That's how much time he used to allow for the upgrade of our system. That's how embarrassing it was. Yeah? Imagine how much that cost. Fun. Everybody in the company thought, yes, we're having a lot more fun. We had people actually bringing in food from their own ethnic backgrounds, sushi, curry. I didn't bring fish and chips, don't worry. And having lunch together. It was amazing. Beforehand, they wouldn't even go for a beer after work. So people started to get a much more stronger feeling of teamwork. And when it came to actually selecting us as a preferred vendor, the committee that made that decision, 90% of them chose us because of our processes and because of our people, not necessarily because of the product, but because of the people and the trust that they had in us. And after 12 months, we had 100% satisfied clients. And a lot of people ask, how did you measure that? Extremely simply. We asked them all, if we have a client, a prospect, who wants to talk to you about us, may we put them in touch with you? And they all said, yes, not a problem, you've improved tremendously. And that's how we measured it. So if you get that alignment going of all those different teams around your central engine, you can really make a difference. And this is the sort of figures I'm talking about. And it could be you. So at this point, I want to say thank you for Trifork and Klaus and Serifa. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce it for a moment. For letting me do the talk. My little pitch there is on my website. You will find a download talking about this particular piece of work, and there's business cards here if you want to collect one. So thank you. Any questions? Yo.
How did you measure some of the other things, some of the other percentages, like fun and teamwork?
Yeah.
They're all really, really important things.
They are very important. Go back. Yeah. So this one we've addressed. Okay, the satisfied clients. The 90% preference for us, that was the client, that was the prospect saying, hey, you know, we had 10 people, 9 of us said we wanted you. 76% less critical UAT, that was just statistics. Innovation, fun, quality, and teamwork. We asked all the staff what they perceived to be the level of teamwork or fun at a particular point in time. Because there's an expression that says perception is 9/10 of the truth, or 90% of the truth. Yeah? So we asked them what did they perceive. 6 months later we asked them again, and 6 months later we asked them again. That's how we got those 4. And it went across the entire company, not just the developers or the agile people. It was really, we asked the marketing and support. We even asked the professional services people. There was another question over here. Yeah.
Normally, when you build a team, you are looking for skills. Someone has testing skills, someone has skills
Yep.
to usability. And Andrew told us we have people from the testing team, from the supporting team,
Yep.
and from the development team. How did they work? In the support, they cannot develop. Or mix up something.
Maybe we look at it. Let's have a little bit of a discussion on that one. We had silos of developers, a silo of business analysts, and a silo of testers, and a silo of QC guys. When we first adopted Agile, we made teams up, co-located them in a room, and those teams had just business analysts, testers, and QC guys. That was what we originally had. And like I said, after a period of time, we realized that we needed to get the support guys in there. So you have your specialists, so you have your specialist developer, but your business analyst and your testers are going to be working together to put together the automated testing for an end-to-end business case, for example. When they're doing their planning, you'll have all 4 of those skill sets all contributing to how something is going to be built. Does that go some way?
You have a cross-functional team, so you have your experts working for the team or with the team.
The team consists of those experts. Yeah? You have developers who specialize in development. We had business analysts who specialized in business analysis, but they also helped out the testers. The testers also helped out the business analysts, but the business analysts and the testers can't really help out the developer, yeah? Apart from giving him advice, etc.
And they always had enough work.
Yes, actually they did, because we found that, for example, if there was a slow period, the testers always had something to do. They always could improve some pre-existing test, add a new test case. The business analysts can always think about what's coming up in the next time box. The support guys have always got a support call somewhere. We also said to the testers, we wanted them to produce the reproduction steps on defects that the clients found because they didn't find it in the first place. Yeah? So there's an awful lot you can do. It just takes a bit of imagination and you very quickly fill them. Yeah? Yep.
Concerning co-location of these experts, what is your experience with the organization of rooms, tables, and everything? There are people who feel disturbed when they do their work in large offices, and other people like that because they have short distance to collaborate with others and see on a just a blink of an eye whether the developer has just some time to respond to questions.
It's an interesting question, and I think the nicest way to answer that is to think about the time horizon. So what we did was we said, okay, we have a target of a release in 4 or 5 months. So we organised the teams, and we had everybody move around, and some people just didn't like where they were sitting because when somebody walked into their room, they could see exactly their desk, so their back was facing the door. Yeah? Nobody liked sitting there. But what we did is at the end of each release, we changed the teams. We moved them around. Because from a company perspective, every time we're building a new piece of functionality, sometimes we needed a new skill set, or we needed to dilute the risk of one person being an expert in SQL in a particular area. So only having one person with that skill set was a risk. So we wanted to put somebody else in there, put him on some other task. He would obviously coach him. But by changing the formation of the team, by changing where they sit on every release, you address the issues of I hate where I sit. They know that they're only going to be sat there for a period of time, and change is good. If you just try it. If some of you have got been sat in the same place or in the same teams, in the same seats for the last year, go back to your boss and say, I think we should just change the where we all sit. It's a bit harder at UBS, maybe. It costs 5,000 for every time you move. But that mere act of change actually creates motivation and energy. And hey, things are changing. That's good. Humans like it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just reflecting where I come from and how small the rooms were, and other offices where they were so big that the noise level was too high.
Yeah,
Of course, it's difficult to do all this if the rooms are not appropriate.
I've got a couple of experiences. One of them is an office where the rooms are all of different sizes, and we could actually take advantage of that because we'd have some larger teams, some smaller teams, and we'd rotate them. We also had an open area as well, and there, yes, it sometimes got a little bit painful, but people knew again that it was change again. So people can get used to it, and they know that it's not going to be forever, and I think that's the important message.
Just out of your own experience, what's it like introducing Agile into companies in England versus mainland Europe, Switzerland, and so on?
Yeah, I have not introduced it to the UK. I would say that the UK is more advanced in terms of agile than Switzerland and mainland Europe. There is certainly, in fact, there is definitely research that the Brits and the Americans are happier with not having a fixed long-term goal and are more comfortable with unknowns and unfinished work than our Germanic hosts. Yeah? There is statistics, there are facts that our Germanic hosts like to know what they're going for, and that they like to have things nice and finished and high quality. Yeah? That's the Swiss world. Excuse me.
Culture is a major factor.
Yeah, I think that culture is a very highly underestimated influence. Yeah, absolutely.
Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
I think there's a fundamental difference between the new age companies we see today, like 10 years old, and system-based companies, predominant pre-internet companies.
Yeah.
And I find that system companies are much more difficult, like telcos and like Siemens, these kind of guys. It's very hard for them to adopt Agile. Either they adopt it in little pockets, and then you get larger companies that can just go straight, no problem.
I think what my understanding of this is that a lot of the people that are running the larger companies like Siemens, etc., and Six Group, and all of these people, a lot of them are managed by old managers, command and control, and they just don't know anything else. Whereas you take your younger company, full of young, energetic young guys, they're already agile. They're already wanting to do it. They know exactly what they want to do. And the issue is when they mature, reach a particular maturity, they say, okay, now we need a general manager. General manager comes in and says, hang on a minute, the way that we're developing software is rubbish. I've seen it. The software house I was at, a guy came in and said, the way we're doing software is rubbish. Came in on the Monday and said, this is how we're going to do it, and it was waterfall. Yeah? Yeah? He didn't survive very long. Yeah?
That's when you mean that literally?
That's when, nearly lost the rest of it.
Have you turned down clients?
Sorry?
Have you turned down clients? That 15% that you mentioned.
That was what we had was business analysts working with us. When we became agile, the business analysts just couldn't cope. They really just didn't get it, and we just had to say, okay, we have to coach you out, is the nice expression. It was fact. Yep.
So you were releasing 4 times a year?
Yeah.
Okay, and you were changing the teams each time?
Yeah.
So how did all this team instability or change affect your velocity or productivity?
Yeah. We measured velocity within a release. Yeah. So all we were looking at is making sure that the velocity kept on going up during a release. If the velocity stayed flat or went down, then we knew we had a problem. But we just kept it stable for that particular release. We had to change each release the structure of the teams to be able to deliver effectively what the clients were wanting. We couldn't put that artificial constraint on us to keep the teams the same. And also by changing the teams, you get them moving into different rooms. It provides a different motivation, a different energy level.
How long were you sprint?
3 weeks. Yeah, and we found that 2 weeks was too short. We needed 3 weeks. Gave the teams time to ramp up, actually produce something, and then 2 or 3 days. Usually we had the shortest period was 4 sprints of functionality. We kind of did it slightly different. We had a time box 0 and a last time box as well, but we had 4 weeks of functionality, but the longest was at least 7 months worth of work. So it was between 3 and 4 releases per year.
How much did you learn, do you think, in that journey? How much did you improve your process from the way that you brainstormed it out at the beginning to what you ended up running after 12 months later?
Yeah.
How different was it?
I'm not sure if I got. Can you give me the question in different words?
You went for an agile model. You said, okay, we're gonna go agile. Waterfall sucks or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Our clients are unhappy.
Yeah.
How much did the process at the end that you were running with the teams and with these releases and stuff like that? How much of that was designed at the beginning? If you say this is how we're going to do agile and we're going to design it.
Yeah.
And after 12 months, how much did it resemble what you said at the beginning?
We were so desperate to change, to improve, that we sent our people on training courses. They came back and said, this is great, this is how we're going to do it. These were the teams. So we put together the teams, we formed the teams, we said, okay, this is your backlog that you're going to implement. And we didn't actually sit back and say, this is what we want to achieve. Yeah? We just knew that we had to change. And we had a deadline. We went to our clients and said, you're all very unhappy with us. We need 2 months to get our shit into shape, and then we need 5 months to implement what you really want. Give us those 7 months. And all the clients were actually quite reasonable about that. They could wait. So we had a 7-month timeline in which to prove that it was working for us. And I think that it's difficult to answer your question, but really what we got at the end and what we thought we would have had were completely different. We were astounded by the statistics that we put together. We were amazed that the clients, every single one of them said, we will be very happy to give you a reference call. In terms of the building blocks, things like continuous integration, testing, we already had that more or less in place. What we found was we could close all the gaps that we'd had. Within 3 releases, we had regression test cases for all the major pieces of functionality. And that was something we didn't expect to have achieved.
Okay, one more question.
This guy was first, but you can grab me later on. Huh?
Thank you. You mentioned the support,
the
Scrum team. How did you do the planning for the support? Was it just a time box, or how do you do this?
That's a very good question. Everybody goes, how do you do maintenance? How do you do support? We took a holistic view, and we said, we need to reserve a certain amount of full-time employees during a year for doing maintenance and support. Turned out to be around 20%. So during a time box, we said, okay, we're going to fill up the time apart from 20%. And if it's not used, we can use it. If it is used, then it's maximum 20%. But what it allowed us to do is on a 3-week time box was if an urgent issue came in, I mean, obviously, if it's a production blocker and it doesn't work, yes, you fix it there and then. That's your number one priority in all organizations, software houses. But if it's not a blocker, then it was a case of, okay, the average time before the teams can start to analyze it will be in 1.5 weeks. Because the worst case scenario is at the beginning of the time box, and then you have to wait for 3 weeks. The best case scenario is that you end at a time box, and we said, okay, we can look at this on Monday. Yeah? So that sort of communication with the clients was much better than a big black box where they registered the issue and nothing happened for months.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you very much, Matthew.
Okay. Thank you.